While I was paying for Dad's treatment out of my own pocket, Mom told everyone that my sister was the only one helping. One day, she told me to live on the street because I forgot the monthly family expenses. My sister is the golden child. I'm the screw-up. Always been that way. Doesn't matter what we actually do. My dad worked 40 years as a machinist. Came home with metal shavings in his boots every night. When I told him I was doing cybersecurity consulting, he said, "That's good, son." Never understood tech, but trusted me. Mom, different story. I'd find screenshots on her phone from support groups, messages about difficult adult children, Facebook posts about family sacrifice. Things go wrong, she blames me, then posts about how hard everything is for her. Bridget's a dental hygienist. Mom posts about her independence. I run a cybersecurity company with actual revenue. Mom tells me I'm playing computer games in their basement. One example tells you everything. Bridget moved home to save money. Mom didn't charge rent. I visited for holidays. Mom said I should contribute to groceries. Dad tried to push back sometimes, but Mom shut him down fast. I moved out for good at 22 after I got my first tech job. Kept things mostly low contact with Mom, but I still saw Dad regularly. Lunch talking about nothing, staying connected. Then, January 2024, Dad got diagnosed. Stage 3 pancreatic cancer. Aggressive chemo every 2 weeks. Someone to manage appointments, insurance, medications. The oncologist laid it out cold. 12 rounds of Delfino CA, 19 to 9 levels they'd monitor weekly. Potential Whipple procedure if the tumor responded. Translation: brutal treatment, constant. Blood work, zero room for mistakes on the medication schedule. Mom called crying, "Your dad needs you. Please come." I floated other options first. Home health aide rotating schedule with Bridget, even a part-time caregiver. Mom shot all of it down. Family handles family, she said. Translation: free labor she could control. I moved in with one boundary. I'm here for Dad, not for family politics. Bridget stayed in her apartment, visited once a month, brought coffee, took photos, posted them on Instagram about fighting this together. Mom acted like she was Mother Teresa. I was there every day managing medications, coordinating with doctors, handling insurance, driving to appointments. The logistics that kept Dad alive. Mom called it sitting around the house. Here's what she didn't know. I run a cybersecurity company, penetration testing for financial institutions, all remote revenue, steady enough that I wasn't checking my bank account before buying groceries. But to Mom, I was refreshing job boards while Dad suffered. 2 weeks in, Mom cornered me in the kitchen while Dad was sleeping. "Since you're doing so well with your computer thing, you can help keep the house afloat." Not asking, telling. I looked up from my laptop. Middle of a security audit report for a credit union in Dallas. Medical bills are piling up. "You're here anyway. How much do you make? Dad's care is handled. How much? What's in your savings? You got cash flow or nah?" She crossed her arms. "You're a grown man living under my roof. If you're doing as well as you claim, prove it. You're not auditing my life. Drop it." I went back to my work. She wanted control of the money flow, not help with expenses. I had a spreadsheet tracking every payment, every provider, every date, every confirmation number saved as PDF backup copies in cloud storage and encrypted drives. Meanwhile, I'd been covering Dad's copays for months. Close to $50,000 so far paid directly to providers. Mom didn't know because Dad deposited my checks and told her the insurance was better than expected. 2 days before the blow-up, I'd taken Dad to his oncologist appointment. Mom insisted on coming. Stood in the waiting room, complaining about chairs, wait times, and how the clinic didn't respect her. When the nurse called Dad back, she demanded to go in, started arguing with the oncologist about treatment timing because it conflicted with her book club. The doctor looked at me like, "Is she serious?" While Mom kept talking over her explanation of Dad's latest scan results, I had to physically step between them and redirect the conversation back to the actual cancer eating my father's pancreas. The oncologist, sharp woman who didn't tolerate nonsense, pulled me aside after. "Your mother cannot be in exam rooms anymore. She's disruptive. Your father's stress levels spike when she's present, which affects treatment response. I'm documenting this as a care team recommendation." "Good. I need that in his chart so there's no confusion." The oncologist nodded. "I'll have our patient advocate added immediately. She won't be allowed back during appointments. I'd already talked to the doctor, already rescheduled everything, already set up pharmacy delivery, and paid the copay directly to the office. I kept a go bag in my trunk, Dad's insurance cards, medication list, copies of all his records, emergency contacts. You don't manage stage 3 cancer without being 3 steps ahead." That night, Mom posted on Facebook, "Sometimes the hardest battles are the ones we fight mostly alone, trusting God's plan even when others don't understand the sacrifice." 43 likes, 12 comments. Bridget commented, "You're so strong, Mom. We don't deserve you." I screenshot it, saved it with the date, opened a folder on my desktop labeled Documentation. I never commented, never posted, never argued, just saved evidence and let her keep talking. Then I caught something that made everything click. I was organizing Dad's pill organizer when his phone buzzed with a bank alert. He'd fallen asleep, so I glanced at it, just making sure it wasn't the oncology office. It was the bank. Login attempt from new device. I woke Dad up. "Did you try to log into your bank account?" "No." Why I showed him the alert? His face went pale. "Your mother asked me for my password last week. Said she needed to check if insurance payments were processing. I told her no. Looks like she tried anyway." We changed his password immediately. I took screenshots of the alert and the timestamp. Then I enabled two-factor authentication on every account he had. Bank insurance portal, Social Security. Medicare created a password manager for him, strong passwords on everything. Recovery email set to my address. 2 days later, Mom cornered Dad while I was on a work call. I heard raised voices and came downstairs to find her holding a piece of paper in his face. "Just sign it. It's for the medical bills. I need authorization to talk to the billing department." I took the paper from her hand. It wasn't a billing authorization. It was a power of attorney form. Financial broad permanent. The document was pre-filled. Dad's name, address, SSN already typed in. Just needed his signature at the bottom. Real subtle. "He's not signing this. Mind your business. This is between me and my husband. You're not his caregiver. You're his liability." I looked at Dad. "Don't sign anything she gives you without me reviewing it first." Mom's face went purple. "You're poisoning him against me. I'm his wife." Dad spoke up, voice quiet but firm. "Stop. Garrett's handling it." Mom stared at him like he'd slapped her. I walked away, took photos of the form first. That week, something else happened. Dad's infusion got canceled. I showed up at the clinic with him and the receptionist looked confused. "I'm sorry, sir, but your appointment was canceled 2 days ago." "By who?" She checked her screen. "Someone called claiming to be his wife. Said the appointment conflicted with a family event and requested we reschedule for next month." Next month would have been past the treatment window. The oncologist had been clear. Missed the schedule, compromised the protocol. Dad looked at me. I looked at the receptionist. "Who took that call? I'm not sure. Let me check the notes." She scrolled. "It says the caller was insistent, knew his birth date and address. Our staff assumed it was legitimate." I pulled out my phone and called Mom right there in the lobby. She answered on the second ring. "Did you cancel Dad's infusion?" Silence. Then it was too close to Bridget's birthday dinner. He needed to be there for family. "The cancer can wait 1 week. The cancer can't wait. You could have killed him. Don't be dramatic. It's one appointment." I hung up and turned to the receptionist. "I need to speak to your patient advocate immediately, and I need this documented in his chart. Unauthorized interference by a non-caregiver that could have compromised his treatment." The clinic manager came out, listened to the whole story, pulled up the call recording, confirmed it was Mom's voice, demanding they respect the wife's authority over scheduling. They rescheduled Dad immediately and escalated their security measures. Hard-flagged Mom's number system-wide locked scheduling, so only Dad or I could make changes, and handed me a printed incident report. After canceling life-saving treatment, this is now a patient safety issue. If she calls again, we refuse and document it as harassment. I folded the report and put it in my jacket. Added it to the documentation folder that night with a note, "Patient safety incident, unauthorized treatment cancellation." That night I told Dad everything I'd been documenting. Showed him the folder, the screenshots, the voicemails, the bank login attempt, the power of attorney form, the clinic incident report. "She's not trying to help you. She's trying to control everything. Your money, your care, your decisions, and she's willing to compromise your health to keep that control." Dad stared at the evidence for a long time. His hands were shaking. Not from the chemo this time. Then he said quietly, "From now on, you handle everything. Medical, financial, all of it. Anyone asks about my care, they talk to you." We met with his oncologist the next day. Dad spoke first. "Doctor, going forward, my son runs the show. Any questions about treatment, scheduling, medications? Talk to Garrett. He's got full authority." She nodded. "I'll make sure the entire care team knows. Got the HIPAA authorization and healthcare proxy signed, witnessed, notarized, completely legal, completely documented." Dad was competent. His doctor confirmed it in writing, and Mom was now shut out of all medical decisions. The oncologist printed 3 copies of everything. One for Dad's chart, one for me, one for Dad to keep. She also added a clinical note. Patient demonstrates clear decision-making capacity and has chosen his son as healthcare proxy due to ongoing family conflict that has negatively impacted treatment adherence. When she found out, she lost her mind. Mom's face was tight with rage when she told me to leave. We were at their kitchen table. Same scratched laminate where I'd done homework for 12 years, same chairs that squeaked, same fluorescent light buzzing overhead like it had a grudge. You think you're special? Mom's voice was shaking, spit flying, face red. You think clicking buttons on a computer while your father suffers makes you better than people who actually work. She'd called my work computer games since I was 19. Dad sat there quietly looking tired. Please, Dad started, voice weak. Be quiet. I'm talking to this ungrateful piece of garbage. She turned back to me. I let you move back in, gave you a roof, and you can't even get a real job to help with medical bills? You're an embarrassment. I'm done pretending you're going to amount to anything. Here's what made this moment perfect. 4 days ago, my company locked down a partnership big enough that I wasn't clocking in anywhere. But to Mom, I was still the loser freeloading while Dad got chemo. You got 1 week, Mom continued. 1 week to show me proof of employment at a real job. I'm talking manufacturing warehousing, something with a time clock and a boss who can fire your butt, something that pays actual money for your father's treatment, something with pay stubs I can verify. I got this weird calm feeling like everything just went quiet. No, you're not getting pay stubs and you're not touching his care. If you interfere with his treatment again, you'll be trespassed from the clinic and reported. I looked at Dad. We're leaving tonight. Mom's eyes went wide. What pack his stuff? We're done here. You can't just, Dad, you coming with me or staying? Dad's face showed relief. He nodded. I'm coming with you. Mom's face went purple. You're not taking him anywhere. This is my house. He's my husband. Your house, Dad bought this place in 1998. Your name's not on the deed, never has been. I stood up. Dad, let's pack your medications first. Everything else can wait. I walked to the door while Mom screamed behind me. You ungrateful brat! After everything I've done, you can't do this. He's my access to the… She caught herself, stopped mid-sentence. I turned back. Your access to what? Her face went blank. She knew she'd slipped. Nothing. You know what I meant. You're taking away my husband. That's kidnapping. But we both knew what she'd almost said. Access to Dad, to the narrative, to control over his care and his finances. She'd built her whole victim story around being the suffering wife with the useless son. And if Dad left with me willingly, that whole story collapsed. You wanted me gone. Fine. But Dad needs actual care, not whatever performance art you're doing on Facebook. So he's leaving too. It took me 40 minutes to pack everything Dad needed. Medications went in a cooler bag with ice packs, temperature-sensitive stuff for the neuropathy. I grabbed his oxygen concentrator, portable tank, blood pressure cuff, thermometer, medical records went in a folder, clothes in a duffel. His favorite pillow, because hospital pillows suck and sleep matters when you're fighting cancer. Mom followed me around the house, narrating my betrayal to nobody in particular. Dad sat in his recliner quiet, watching me pack with this look of relief, like he'd been holding his breath for months. The porch light was still on when I helped Dad to my car. I got Dad settled in my Audi A5, fully paid off, nice enough that Mom would have called it wasteful, and drove him to my condo downtown. My place in downtown Austin sits on the 27th floor with windows overlooking the river. Not cheap, but worth every penny. Mom thought I was sleeping in their guest room full-time, not spending 3 nights a week at my own place when I needed to escape. She probably thought I was sleeping with 3 roommates. I got Dad comfortable on the couch with water and his pills. Stay here. Rest. I'm going back for your medical records and clothes. Lock the door. Don't answer for anyone but me. Be careful, he said quietly. Your mother when she's angry. I know. That's why I'm documenting everything. That night, Mom called and I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. Garrett, it's your mother. You kidnapped your father. I'm calling the police. You stole him from his home. He needs me, not some selfish child playing house. Bring him back immediately, or there will be consequences. We need to talk about money and your father's care. The phone bill is due. I'm canceling your line anyway. Perfect. Threatening to call police when Dad left voluntarily, demanding we talk about money. Like she had any say, I immediately transferred my number to a business account under Apex Systems LLC as a business expense. Done in 5 minutes. Next day, my sister Bridget texted, Bridget, Mom's been calling me nonstop and crying. What the heck did you do? I took Dad to my place. She kicked me out. He chose to come. You can't just take him. He needs his wife, not his loser son who couldn't even hold a real job. Interesting take from someone who visits once a month. Screenshot save. The next morning, I got a call from Dad's oncology office, with the nurse sounding stressed. "Sir, your mother called 3 times this morning, demanding to know where your father is. She's threatening to report us for patient abandonment. We need to clarify the situation. He's with me. He's his own patient and chose me as his caregiver. I have his HIPAA authorization. She has no legal authority over his medical decisions. We understand. We just wanted to document this clearly. Your mother was very aggressive on the phone, said she'd sue us for letting you steal him. She also demanded we tell her how much you've paid for his care. We obviously can't disclose that. Document everything she says, every threat, every accusation. I'm building a file on her interference with his medical care. Already done. The social worker flagged her weeks ago. This latest call about wanting financial details when she has no authorization, that's concerning behavior. Good. Can you add a hard block on information access too? No updates to anyone except me or Dad directly. Already done. Between the scheduling lockdown and now this, any call from her gets refused immediately. The hospital was building their own file on Mom's behavior. That mattered. Over the next 2 weeks, Mom went full PR campaign. Facebook martyr posts about fighting this battle alone and sons who betray their dying fathers for money. Church friends in the comments demanding I be charged with kidnapping. 4 more calls to the oncology office demanding updates she had no right to. And 7 increasingly unhinged voicemails. I didn't respond once, just screenshot everything, saved it all, and let her keep talking. Then she crossed from annoying into actionable. I got an email at my work address, my business email that wasn't public anywhere. Subject: professional concern. To whom it may concern, I'm writing to inform you that Garrett, who claims to work for your company, has kidnapped his dying father and is currently holding him against his will. As his mother, I felt you should know the character of the person representing your organization. This man is mentally unstable and dangerous. Please contact me immediately to discuss this serious matter. She'd somehow found my business email and tried to sabotage my company. I forwarded it to my lawyer with one line: add this to the file. My lawyer, kept on retainer since I started the company, responded, "This is actionable. Defamation, interference with business relationships, harassment. I'm drafting a cease and desist." The cease and desist went out that afternoon via certified mail. Professional letterhead, threatening language about legal consequences. The whole works. Cost me $400 but worth every penny to see her signature on the return receipt. Mom didn't just post online. She actually called the police. I got a knock on my door 4 days after taking Dad with 2 officers looking uncomfortable. "Sir, we got a call about a potential vulnerable adult situation. Your mother claims you removed your father from the home without consent." I opened the door wider. "Come in. My father's here. He can tell you himself he chose to leave." Dad was on the couch with his oxygen tank. Looked up when the officers came in. The older cop did a quick visual check. Oxygen setup, medications organized on the side table. Dad alert and oriented. Officers. Dad said clearly, "I left voluntarily. My wife kicked out my son who was managing my cancer care. I chose to go with him. This is where I want to be." The older officer nodded. "Sir, are you being coerced or held against your will?" "Absolutely not. I'm being cared for properly for the first time in months. My wife was interfering with my medical treatment. She was creating stress that made me sicker. I left to get proper care." He gestured at me. "Anything you need to know about my situation? Ask him. He's handling everything." The officers looked at each other, and the younger one spoke. "Sir, do you feel safe here and want to stay?" "Yes, I want to stay here with my son. He's my designated caregiver." I signed the paperwork with my oncologist. I handed them copies. HIPAA authorization, healthcare proxy, all signed, dated, witnessed by Dad's doctor. The older officer scanned them. "This looks legitimate. Sir, you're clearly competent and making your own decisions. We'll document this in our report." They turned to me. "Your mother was pretty insistent. Said you kidnapped him. I have recordings of him asking to leave, asking me to take him, choosing to come here. She kicked me out while I was managing his care and he decided to come with me. That's not kidnapping. That's a patient choosing his caregiver." The younger officer pulled out his notepad, wrote something down. "And you have medical documentation showing you're authorized." I handed him another copy of the healthcare proxy. The older officer nodded slowly. "We'll note that in the report." He handed me a card with the case reference. "If she calls again, we'll reference this visit." Honestly, this looks like a family dispute, not a crime. Your father is clearly making his own choices. I took a photo of this card immediately. Case number visible date stamped officer's information documented. After they left, I called my lawyer. I want to file for a restraining order. She's harassing me, interfering with Dad's medical care, filing false police reports. I want it documented and stopped. I can draft that, but you'll need solid evidence. I have 47 screenshots, multiple voicemails, documentation from his oncology office, the cease and desist. We sent the email to my company and a police report from today where officers confirmed he's here voluntarily. Enough. More than enough. I'll file tomorrow. The hearing will probably be in 2 weeks. Good. One more thing. Get your father to appear or submit a written statement. A judge will want to hear directly from him that he chose this. Done. He'll be there. My aunt texted me. Garrett, your mother is telling everyone you kidnapped your father. What the heck is going on? We're only getting one side of this story. I texted back, there is a restraining order hearing on April 12th at 2 p.m. Courtroom 4B, Travis County Family Court. Public record, no drama, just facts. Come see for yourself if you want the truth. My aunt, we'll be there. I didn't push, didn't lobby, just gave them the option to see the evidence firsthand. Mom got served at her house 2 days later. The process server said she screamed at him, refused to sign, threatened to call the police. He left the papers on her porch and documented it all. I stayed completely silent publicly, didn't post, didn't defend myself, didn't engage. I could have destroyed her story in one post, could have shown the receipts, the voicemails, the clinic reports, made her look like exactly what she was. I didn't. Just let her build the case against herself while I organized the receipts. Around this time, Bridget's rent jumped from $1,200 to $1,850 and she moved back to Mom's. Posted on Instagram about stepping up when family needs you most with the hashtag #FamilyFirst, then texted me privately complaining she couldn't afford her place anymore. I screenshot both the hero narrative and the broke reality and added them to the documentation folder. Meanwhile, Dad had other plans. I took him to see an attorney, not for drama, just to lock everything down properly while he still had the energy. We spent 2 hours in that office going through paperwork. Dad updated his will, named me as executor, changed all his beneficiary designations on accounts and insurance policies. We did a comprehensive financial power of attorney, a living, will advanced healthcare directives, the whole stack. Then came the property piece. Dad pulled out the house deed, his name only same as it had been since 1998. Mom had lived there 20+ years, acting like she owned it. But paper doesn't lie. I want Garrett on the deed with me, Dad said. If something happens, it goes to him and I want him handling property decisions now. The attorney drew up the paperwork. Dad added me to the deed as joint owner with survivorship rights. We signed it, got it notarized, filed it with the county that afternoon. Done. I now had legal authority to make property decisions. Mom and Bridget had no idea. Dad looked exhausted but relieved when we left. That's done. Now she can't touch anything. 2 days before the hearing, I got everything ready. Printed the binders clean, professional, tabbed. My lawyer had filed the petition as case number 2024-1847-CV. Everything documented, everything timestamped, everything admissible. The binders had sections: medical interference 8 pages, financial misconduct 12 pages, harassment documentation 15 pages, false reports 4 pages, third-party witness statements 6 pages. Every page numbered every exhibit, referenced every claim backed by evidence. I arrived 30 minutes early with Dad and my lawyer. Got Dad settled in the front row with his oxygen tank. My lawyer had 3 binders ready, professional, organized, devastating. At 1:50 p.m., my aunt walked in, then my uncle, then my 2 cousins. They sat in the back looking confused and worried. At 1:55 p.m., Mom arrived with Bridget and her lawyer, cheap suit guy who looked like he'd been hired 3 days ago. Mom saw me and her face went red. Saw Dad and her face went white. Saw our relatives in the back and her face went purple. She hadn't expected an audience. The bailiff called us in. All rise. The judge was a woman in her 60s with a no-nonsense face and reading glasses. She looked at the case file and sighed. Petition for protective order based on harassment, medical interference, and false police reporting. She looked at Mom. Ma'am, you're the respondent. Yes, Your Honor. This is a misunderstanding. My son took my husband. We'll get to that. She looked at Dad. And you're the patient? Yes, ma'am, Dad said. I left voluntarily. I wanted to be here to set the record straight. The judge nodded. Good. Let's hear the petition. My lawyer stood up. Calm, professional, deadly. Your Honor, The respondent filed a false police report claiming her son kidnapped her husband. The patient left voluntarily with proper healthcare authorization. That's Exhibit A. The hospital documented multiple incidents of her screaming at staff demanding private financial information and attempting to override her husband's choice of caregiver. Exhibits B through D. She also called the oncology office and canceled a critical chemotherapy infusion because it conflicted with a family birthday dinner. The clinic documented this as a patient safety incident that could have compromised his entire treatment protocol. The judge's face hardened. She canceled his cancer treatment. Yes, Your Honor. Without his knowledge or consent, my lawyer pulled out a small speaker. The respondent also left multiple threatening voicemails. He played one. You're a kidnapper and a thief, and everyone will know what you did. The courtroom went silent. Additionally, Your Honor payment receipts show the petitioner paid nearly $50,000 for his father's medical care over 6 months, while the respondent publicly posted that her son contributed nothing. The judge flipped through the binder, looked at Mom. Your son paid $50,000 for your husband's medical care, and you called him useless. Mom stammered. I didn't know. He went behind my back. Because your husband authorized him to. You had no legal right to this information, yet you demanded it interfered with care, canceled treatment, and filed false police reports. She looked at Dad. Sir, tell me what happened. Dad stood slowly, walked to the witness stand with his oxygen tank. Your Honor, I have stage 3 pancreatic cancer. My son moved in and managed everything. Appointments, medications, bills. My wife interfered. She screamed at doctors. She canceled my chemotherapy for a birthday dinner. She made me sicker. When she kicked Garrett out, I chose to leave with him. I packed my own bags. The police confirmed I left voluntarily. I'm still choosing to stay with my son. The judge nodded. Thank you, sir. She looked at Mom. Ma'am, do you have anything to say? Mom stood crying. I just wanted my husband back. I'm his wife. He's competent. He chooses. That's it. The judge's voice was flat. Your behavior says control, not concern. Canceling life-saving treatment. Demanding financial access while your son paid $50,000 you didn't know about. That's financially motivated interference. She closed the binder. Based on the evidence, false police report, medical interference, harassing voicemails, defamatory email to his employer. I'm granting the protective order, 12 months no contact. You may not contact your son directly or through third parties. You may not post about him on social media. You may not contact his workplace or his father's medical providers. Violations will result in criminal contempt charges. Mom gasped. You can't. Furthermore, I'm referring this to the district attorney. Filing a false police report is a crime. The DA will decide whether to prosecute. The judge signed the order. This hearing is concluded. The protective order is effective immediately. Mom collapsed into her chair, sobbing. Bridget glared at me like I was the monster. The bailiff called us to rise and the judge left. My aunt and uncle were staring at Mom with shock on their faces like they'd never seen her before. We walked out together, and my aunt stopped me in the hallway. Garrett, I had no idea. The voicemails, the hospital documentation, the canceled chemo, and she called you useless. Yeah, why didn't you tell us? Would you have believed me or would you have believed her? They both went quiet. My aunt hugged me. I'm sorry. My uncle shook my hand. Your dad's lucky to have you. Bridget stormed past us without a word. Mom came out last, looked at me, opened her mouth. Don't, I said. The order is effective immediately. Any contact is a violation. She closed her mouth and walked away. That night I got texts from my aunt and uncle apologizing. Both offered to help with Dad's care if I needed it. My cousin sent a message. Always thought something was off about how she talked about you. Now I know why. I didn't text Bridget. She'd made her choice. The order went into effect immediately. Mom couldn't call, couldn't post, couldn't contact my work, couldn't contact Dad's doctors. For the first time in months, my phone stayed quiet. The DA charged her for the false report. She took a plea because the police report, the clinic documentation, and her own voicemails were basically a confession playlist. Probation anger management fine. She tried blaming me like I'd forged her voice. Bridget texted me one last time about how I destroyed the family. I blocked her. If you're only family when there's something to extract, you're not family, you're a subscription. Now came the cleanup. Dad and I already had the property locked down legally, but Mom and Bridget were still living in the house like it was theirs. Time to fix that. I drafted a formal notice to vacate. My lawyer handled the exact notice language for our county. 30 days clear deadline, both their names on it. As joint owner, I had every right. Sent one copy certified mail, had a process server deliver another directly to the house. Documented both professional by the book. The notice was clear. They had until May 15th to remove all personal belongings and vacate the premises. Failure to comply would result in formal eviction proceedings. Mom and Bridget completely ignored it. Instead, the Facebook posts ramped up. Mom wrote about being forced from her home by a vindictive son about losing everything to greed and cruelty. Bridget posted crying selfies with captions like, "Being punished for loving my family." I didn't respond, just screenshot everything timestamped it, added it to the file. They kept posting. I kept logging. May 15th came and went. They were still there. I filed the formal eviction paperwork with the court the next morning. Cost me $285 in filing fees. Worth it. The eviction hearing was set for May 28th. I showed up with my lawyer and another binder. Same system, different case. Mom and Bridget showed up with their bargain bin attorney who looked like he'd just figured out what joint ownership meant that morning. The judge reviewed the deed, the notice to vacate the service records, and the timeline. This property is owned jointly by the petitioner and his father. The respondents have no legal claim to occupancy. The notice period has expired. Eviction granted. She set a move-out deadline per the order. Mom tried to argue. The judge cut her off. "Ma'am, this is a property matter, not a family matter. You were given proper notice. The time has expired. You need to leave." Bridget burst into tears. The judge didn't blink. We walked out. I had the signed eviction order in my hand. On May 31st, I changed the locks. Had a locksmith come out, rekey, everything new. Deadbolts, new garage code, took photos of the house. Empty now except for furniture that belonged to Dad. They'd cleared out sometime in the night. Didn't leave a note. Just disappeared like roaches when you flip on a light. The house sat quiet for the first time in months. I drove Dad over to see it. He walked through slowly, touching the walls like he was seeing it for the first time. "It's mine again," he said quietly. "Just mine. Yours and mine," I corrected. "But yeah, no more chaos." We sat in his old recliner in the living room for a while, neither of us saying much. Then 3 days later, the first crack in their story showed up at my door. I was making Dad breakfast when the doorbell rang. I checked the camera. Bridget standing on my doorstep, looking like she hadn't slept in a week. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. "What, Garrett, please? We're family." "You can't just—" "I can't." "I did." "Anything else?" She shifted. Tears started. "I don't have anywhere to go. My lease is up. I thought I could stay at the house until I figured things out. Not my problem. Come on, I'm your sister. Just for a few months I can help with Dad. No, you can be mad. You can't be involved." I looked at her evenly. "Figure it out yourself. Same way I did when I was 22 and Mom told me to leave. You're a grown adult with a job. Act like it. You're really going to leave me homeless." "You're not homeless. You're just not my responsibility." She stood there for a second, mouth open, then turned and walked away without another word. I closed the door, went back to making breakfast. The next night, I was upstairs helping Dad organize his medications when I heard a car door slam in the driveway, checked the camera. Mom's Honda Civic. She was standing outside, arms crossed, staring at the building. She knew the restraining order meant she couldn't contact me directly, so she just stood there waiting like her presence alone would make me come down. I watched her on the camera for about 10 minutes. She didn't move, just stared. Then she started spiraling. She pulled out her phone. I watched her type. My phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. "Garrett, it's your mother. I'm outside. We need to talk about the house." "This is cruel. I have nowhere to go. Your father wouldn't want this. Please." No reply. No yelling. No contact. Just screenshots. Another text. "I know you see me. I'm not leaving until you talk to me. You owe me that much." Screenshot. Time-stamped. Saved. She stood there for another 10 minutes, texting 3 more times, each one more desperate. Then she completely lost it. She walked up to the call box at the building entrance and pressed my unit number. The intercom rang. I let it record her voice. "Garrett, it's Mom. I know you're there. Just let me come up for 5 minutes. I need to explain. The house, the money. I can fix this. We can work this out. Your father needs me. You need me. I'm sorry about everything." "Okay, I'm sorry. Just let me up." Same woman who demanded my pay stubs now sounded like she'd pay cash for 5 minutes of control. I called my lawyer, put him on speaker. "She's here in my driveway." She's texted me 5 times from a new number and just used the building intercom. All recorded, all time-stamped. She violated the order. Call non-emergency, report it. Don't engage with her directly. I called the non-emergency police line, gave them the case number from the protective order, explained the violation, told them she was currently on my property. They said they'd send someone. I stayed upstairs with Dad, watched through the camera. 20 minutes later, a patrol car pulled up. 2 officers. They approached Mom. She immediately started talking fast, animated, pointing at my building. I watched one officer pull out the protective order on his tablet, showed it to her. She shook her head, kept talking. The officer pointed at the text messages she'd sent. Her face went pale. They talked for another few minutes. Then they handed her something. Looked like a citation or a written warning. She took it, crumpled, started crying. They waited until she got in her car and drove away. One officer called my phone. Sir, we documented the violation. She's been issued a formal warning. We explained that the protective order prohibits all contact, including texts and intercom systems. Future violations could lead to arrest for contempt. Thank you. I have recordings and screenshots if you need them. Email them to this case number. We'll add them to the report. I sent everything within 5 minutes. Audio from the intercom, screenshots of the texts, video of her standing in the driveway, all time-stamped, all documented. Dad watched the camera footage later and just nodded like the problem finally got solved. That was the last time either of them showed up. Mom's warning got logged. Bridget vanished into whatever financial hole she dug for herself. The house stayed quiet. Now it's just me and Dad. His infusions happen on time. Nobody's canceling treatment for birthday dinners. Nobody's demanding pay stubs.